All right, good afternoon. We are delighted to be joined by the Undersecretary General for Peace Operations, Jean-Pierre Lacroix, who is here to talk to you about what's going on in Lebanon with our peacekeepers. Jean-Pierre will have some opening remarks, and then he will take some questions. Please, Jean-Pierre, welcome.
Thank you very much, Steph, and very good afternoon to all of you. So as indicated by Steph, I will start by a number of opening remarks. First, of course, I will echo the words of our Secretary General in expressing our alarm at the current escalation in southern Lebanon, obviously also at the impact on the civilian population. And I will also echo the calls for the cessation of hostilities and a return to the negotiating table. Now, about UNIFIL. UNIFIL peacekeepers continue to do their best to implement their Security Council mandate in obviously very difficult conditions. It's heartening to hear expressions of support from to UNIFIL yesterday at the Security Council by the overwhelming majority of member states, all the member states of the Council. And of course, you also heard the expression of support to UNIFIL by the Secretary General. I think it's important to emphasize that on support to the Secretary General, on support to UNIFIL, there was unity of the Council, which is, as you know, otherwise divided on so many other issues. UNIFIL peacekeepers feel duty-bound to continue. They feel duty-bound to the mandate given to them by the Security Council. They obviously also feel duty-bound to the population of southern Lebanon. The peacekeepers are currently staying in their position, all of them, and we're extremely grateful to them, and we're also extremely grateful to the troop contributing countries. Team UNIFIL, I call it Team UNIFIL, remains united and committed. The peacekeepers, under the outstanding leadership of Lieutenant General Aroldo Lázaro, the troop contributing country, whose unity and commitment is absolutely vital and highly appreciated, and of course this Secretariat, the Secretary General, under whose guidance we operate, but also all the partners department, the DMSPC, Department of Operational Support, UNDSS, and of course my colleagues from the Department of Peace Operation. We're obviously constantly reviewing the situation. We just had another VTC this morning with UNIFIL. Contingency plans are ready and they're constantly updated so that if needed, we can adapt UNIFIL posture. We're also constantly in contact with the troop contributing country. They were briefed yesterday by General Lázaro in Beirut, and tomorrow, together with other senior colleagues, I will brief them. And of course, I am also in contact bilaterally with many of them. I have talked with several ambassadors, a number of ministers as well. The safety and security of our peacekeepers is a paramount priority. A number of measures have been taken in the last months, weeks and days to strengthen the peacekeepers' protection. But safety and security of the peacekeepers is a shared responsibility. The parties have an obligation to respect the safety and security of peacekeepers, and I want to insist on that, and you've heard the message of the Secretary General yesterday when he spoke at the Council. Now, obviously, the current situation limits the ability of the peacekeepers to implement their mandated task, but whenever and wherever possible, they keep doing just that, liaising with the parties, because as you know, UNIFIL is a channel. It's actually the only channel of communication between the parties. The peacekeepers are also working with partners to do whatever they can to protect the population. They have granted temporary shelter to affected population in a recent week. They support the delivery of humanitarian assistance, again, together with partners, including the Lebanese armed forces, safe movement of civilians. In other words, they continue to do their best in these very, very challenging conditions. So these are the few words that I wanted to say by way of introduction, and of course I look forward to your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabriel.
Thank you, Mr. Undersecretary General. Gabriel Zondo from Al Jazeera English. A couple of questions. What is your communication like with the Israeli military? Have you asked for a heads up or a warning before they proceed with any possible ground invasion that would come in contact with the peacekeepers? And second question is, you said that contingency plans are ready. What is the contingency plan?
Maybe
Thank
I
you.
can take a couple of questions, like 2 or 3.
If you could
What
do
a-
one-on-one
all right, okay.
conference, they
Yeah,
get very
okay.
grumpy if you don't do that.
You're the boss. Okay. All right. Well, UNIFIL is communicated with all the parties. Of course, that include the IDF. It's very important. We have a contact at the level of the force commander, General Lázaro, and we also have a liaison branch. And just this morning, the force commander was telling me that actually this liaison branch was active. Contingency planning. Well, I don't think it would be wise for me to go into the details of those, but we've been working very hard on several scenarios. I should say that we've been also working on the good scenarios. In other words, if, of course, we hope for cessation of hostilities, what could be the role in that positive scenarios. Obviously, we've been preparing several scenarios in case of deterioration, all the way through the worst possible scenario, which would lead, hopefully not to partial or total evacuation. So, and I can tell you that we are reviewing those contingency planning very, very regularly.
Maggie, Benny, then Nabil.
Hello, Mr. Lacroix, it's Margaret. So we often hear when there's no peace to keep, there's no point for a peacekeeping mission to be there. Right now, it doesn't appear there's any peace to keep in South Lebanon. 70 villages have been evacuated, so there aren't really many civilians for you to protect either. So really, what is the purpose of UNIFIL remaining right now, particularly since those peacekeepers, thousands of them, are now themselves at risk?
Thank you. Well, first of all, we have a mandate from the Security Council, as I was just saying. I mean, we all of us feel that we have to do our best to keep delivering on what UNIFIL has been mandated for in the Security Council. So we have a responsibility vis-à-vis the Security Council. We also have a responsibility to Lebanon and the population of Lebanon. Yes, of course, many civilians left the area, but not all of them. Even those movements of population have required, in a number of cases, the support and of UNIFIL, as I was saying, together with other partners, such as the Lebanese Armed Forces. The liaison mechanism remains very important. I mentioned this channel of communication. So in other words, yes, it is absolutely warranted for our peacekeepers to continue to stay to the extent possible and do what they have to do to the extent possible. Again, under conditions that obviously limit their ability to fulfill their mandate.
Thank you. Benny, then Nabil.
Hi, Benny Avni of New York Sun. In 2006, 2 UNIFIL peacekeepers were killed. There were a lot of reports afterwards that they were stationed right next to a Hezbollah post, and they were killed in the exchange of fire. What do you do to make sure that UNIFIL people are not right next to armed militias that are not supposed to be below the litany according to the UN Security Council resolution you cited, and to make sure that happens? And P.S., the Israeli army, from what I understand, asked some UNIFIL people to move from some areas, and as far as we were told yesterday, they haven't yet.
Right. First of all, I would repeat that protecting the safety and security of our peacekeepers is a responsibility to all parties, and I think it's a message that is very important to insist on, and we also rely on our partners, on the member state, on the Security Council to also relay that important message, which, by the way, they do. Second, the liaison mechanism. Well, this is exactly what enables us to talk to the parties and to convey to them messages to that effect, that they have that responsibility. Their obligation really is to protect the safety and security of peacekeepers. Yes, the peacekeepers are currently staying in all the positions. This is a decision that we've made after thorough consideration of all the elements, including the safety and security of our peacekeepers, but also the responsibility we have in regard to the mandate and the population. Now, I will repeat that we keep reviewing those plans very, very regularly. Like I say, just another meeting this morning, the VTC with UNIFIL, constant interaction with them, and of course we'll keep doing that.
Just to follow up, please, one follow-up. When you say they remain in all the positions, I've been to that area and I've seen Hezbollah people stationed right next to UNIFIL positions. Are you concerned about that? That's the question I ask.
Yes, the parties should not put the peacekeepers at risk, absolutely.
Thank you, Nabil Abisab, Al Arabi TV station. So by liaison mechanism, you mean the tripartite mechanism? And if this mechanism is still active, what is this mechanism doing right now? Do you only focus on your safety and UNIFIL safety? And my second question, do you feel any impact now that there is an American and French initiative for a 21 days ceasefire? Do you see any impact of this initiative on the ground? And if yes, how can you explain? And my last question, the SG said in the Security Council that he wonders if what remains of the framework of 1701. So what remains of this framework, in your opinion?
As far as the liaison is concerned, I mean, the tripartite mechanism currently is not operating. Obviously, we hope that it will be able to resume, but right now, by liaison, I mean, on the one hand, the interaction between the force commander and counterparts, including from the IDF, obviously on the other side as well, Lebanese side, and also what I call the liaison branch, which is essentially liaison officers that keep sort of interacting with their counterpart on both sides. So this is really, and it's happening not only every single, it's happening every single hour, really. Well, obviously, on the second question, we absolutely support all diplomatic efforts. We have been supporting, as you heard from the Secretary General, the initiative aiming at 21-day ceasefire. So anything that can bring an end to the hostilities is, of course, warmly and totally supported by the United Nations. 1701, well, I think the Secretary General essentially meant that 1701 needs to be implemented. It is and remains the political framework for a settlement between Lebanon and Israel, and I think it's worth noting that it's a political framework that is accepted by both parties. The question is, it needs to be implemented.